5, 4, 3, 2, 1, fire!
Hello, and welcome to the Indie Wrestling Experience, where we discuss all things related to the Indie Wrestling Experience. My name is Bob Richards. I am your host. Today, we have a wrestler spotlight featuring Draven the Blackbird, who has a big match coming up for DCW at Fast Fate on January 11th, 2025. He will discuss that, plus a whole bunch of other cool stuff. He'll tell us how he got involved in the business. He'll talk about his training, and he'll even tell us about his favorite match from the past couple of years during his career. We've also got my review of MCW Pro Wrestling, formerly Maryland Championship Wrestling, had their year-end show last week. Friday, the 27th of December, called Season's Beatings, and I'll be going through that in detail in just a moment. It was an amazing show. Maryland Championship Wrestling, MCW, they have put on great shows for decades, and they continue to put on great ones. This show was nothing else. Tons of great returns, appearances, cameos, run-ins. It was a zany night, and I will get to it in just a moment. But first, I want to talk about someone we lost this past week. On Christmas Day of this year, we found out that we lost NWA superstar Jax Dane. It sounds like he had a heart attack at some point in November. And then the complications from that heart attack just became too much for him, and he passed away on Christmas Day. Jax is a guy who I, unfortunately, didn't really know much about in his early years. I never seen him in New Japan or even wrestling under the NWA banner before the Billy Corgan version of NWA premiered. I know he had been in Ohio Valley Wrestling for a while as well. But my first exposure to him was in the NWA. I was watching when he won the NWA National Championship. I was watching when he lost that championship to Scion at NWA 74. I've seen Jax live on a couple of occasions in the past couple of years. I know most recently I saw him at NWA 76, where he and Baron Von Storm teamed up in a winning effort against Zion and Magic Jake Dumas. I also saw Jax Dane at NWA Samhain the year before. Just a good performer, solid performer. Put on a good show, was obviously well thought of in their national champion. They had him teaming with Tim Storm. And even at his age, which is the same as mine, so I shouldn't call it old, but for wrestling, he was certainly getting up there. But as a human being, he was just getting started. He was taken from us too soon. And at this time, we'd like to do our very first Indie Wrestling Experience 10-bell salute. Thank you, Jax. Okay. Now, next up on the show, as I said earlier, we're going to talk about MCW show from this past weekend. Season's Beatings, headlined by a heavyweight championship match between three stalwarts, old school MCW roster members. Joseph Keys, Demarcus Kane, and Kaun, who you may know from Ring of Honor and AEW. Uh, Kaun is the heavyweight champion. As we enter this show for MCW, the question is, would he still be the champion when it was all over? To get it kicked off, though, we had a six-pack challenge involving Tony Macco, Chris Slade, Jadis Quinn, Chuck Lennox, Alex Odin, all vying for the MCW Rage title against the champion Alex Divine. Alex Divine and Alec Odin had issues a year ago. Odin turned on Divine and joined the Trade faction, which has since disbanded. But Alex, his pre-match interview for the six-pack challenge, said he has not forgotten. He may forgive, but he does not forget. And it appeared from the match that Odin felt the exact same way. Now, my opinion coming into it before I saw all this was that Jadis Quinn, who at the previous event, MCW Breakthrough, had won a battle royal, the Breakthrough Battle Royal, as the Breakthrough show is a show for up-and-coming talent to get a shot on a big event. Jadis has been around for a while. He's been on plenty of big events. I'm not saying that that's not the case, but Jadis had just won the Breakthrough Battle Royal. It seemed like maybe this was the time for Jadis to break through and have a chance against Alex. That turned out not to be the case. Early in the match, of course, the six-pack challenge, there's high-flying moves going on. There's chaos everywhere. But once that sort of subsided, the story very quickly became Alec Odin's dominance. Now, he was much bigger. He's a much bigger man. If any of you have ever seen Alec Odin, he did have a WWE tryout a couple of years ago. So for some of you who may have seen him, you know he's a very large, very muscular man. And he towers over most of the other talent in this match physically. And his power was the dominant factor in the driving moments or in the middle moments of this match. Alec was just destroying people. They continued to come at him one at a time, feeding him, and he just continued to just send them away in dominant fashion. Finally, though, it was Divine it was Alex Divine who would hit a satellite DDT, and then a handspring cutter from Chris Slade finally took the big man down, chopped the tree down, in what looked like it was going to be a match that Odin would win easily. Now with Odin down, Alex hits the top rope, spinning splash on Chuck Lennox eventually to win the match. But afterwards, Divine and Odin had some words. It is very clear from this that Divine and Alex Odin are going to be the next big feud for the MCW Rage title, and a feud that's got a year's worth of emotions and betrayal behind it. So I am very much looking forward to it. Add to it the fact that Divine is so much smaller than Odin. It's going to be a very interesting clash of styles as these two go at it for the Rage TV title. Alex has been a great Rage TV champion. Any of you guys who have not had a chance to see Alex perform should. He's a high flyer. He's got a lot of charisma, and he's just a lot of fun to watch. So if you get a chance to see Alex Divine in your town, please do. Next up, we had a grudge match featuring two former tag team partners, Spencer Slade and Tim Spriggs, who used to be Capital Punishment. At Fan Jam 3 a couple of months ago, though, Tim Spriggs and his longtime buddy, former stablemate Cassius Cash Carter, who had accompanied both men to the ring for that match. Cassius and Tim, after the match, turned on Spencer Slade, leaving him laying. And this was their first match against each other. Since that betrayal, so there was a lot of the tempers were high, tempers were flaring, and the question was, how nasty was this match going to get? Well, early in the match, it was Cassius Cash Carter who was really the star, I guess you could say. He was the one getting involved more than anybody else, so much so that MCW General Manager Phil Stamper came down and immediately ordered Cash to leave ringside, threw him out. Well, problem is Spriggs, Cash's buddy Spriggs, was in the ring, had Spencer Slade locked in a submission. But the referee, for some reason, was focused on Phil Stamper and Cassius Cash Carter and the chaos they had going on the entrance ramp as Phil was trying to get Cash out of here. So Spriggs is holding the submission maneuver, and there's nobody to count. There's nobody to check to see if Slade is gonna submit or what. When the referee does return, Spriggs lets go of the hold and addresses the ref, arguing with the ref, berating the ref. Hell, even the fans, you can hear the fans yelling, "This ref sucks. This ref sucks." Um, and so Spriggs starts arguing with the referee. Where the hell were you? I had this guy locked in a submission. He was giving up. Well, while he does it, of course, Slade comes up from behind, picks him up, hits an air raid slam, and wins. So Slade gets the victory. The fans are happy, but the question is, can this really be over? I don't think it can be. This was a blood feud. This is going to be a blood feud between these two former teammates. And Spencer Slade got a victory that I'm sure Tim Spriggs has issues with. I gotta think we'll see them again. I am really hoping we see them in some sort of stipulation match, so that these guys can be creative and really maybe violent with each other as much as they hate each other. The other thing I note is that Spencer Slade is a guy who's been around MCW for a while, mostly in the tag team ranks with Spriggs and others. But this singles victory, I've got to wonder, is it going to be a chance for Slade to rise finally through the ranks of MCW as a single? I guess only time will tell. Slade is a guy who I first saw at IWC, International Wrestling Cartel in Pittsburgh. He is deaf, which is not a judgment or a factor of anything I consider. It's just that I happen to also be learning American Sign Language. So when I found out Slade was deaf, it was something that connected me to watching his story. And I will continue to do so now that he is in my backyard in MCW and starting to rise up the ranks. And speaking of the ranks, the rankings, my number 2 ranked tag team in all of indie wrestling was, prior to this match, was the Hype. Kaz Lee and Myron Malone. They've been tag champions for a very long time. They were also Pay Your Dues tag team champions. They've been just mowing through the competition for over a year now. And the question, I guess, really was going to be who was going to be the team to end this great run that the Hype have been on. I mean, they are an amazing tag team. They are always in sync. Even when one of them is in trouble or the match doesn't seem to be going their way, they eventually right the ship and always seem to find a way to come out on top. So the question was that going to happen here again with this year-end show? And I got to tell you, sitting in the arena, now I'm not going to sit here and pretend I know all the ins and outs of wrestling booking or the faces they make or whatever. But there was a different feel to the match from the very beginning. It didn't feel like a typical Hype match. I noticed Ryan Zuko look up at the sky and take a huge sigh a huge deep breath right before the match started. And I said, uh-oh, we're going to have a title change tonight. Now, usually I say that, I'm wrong. But this time it actually turned out to be true. The Hype just never could seem to get in rhythm. And, a lot of time, I mean, this was a babyface versus babyface match. So, the energy is different when those guys are defending their titles against heels. Obviously, there's much more of an air of, when they're down, they'll come back. We will rally them as the fans. But with the Zukos and the Hype both being baby faces, there were chants in the crowd, alternating chants that seemed to be fairly equal, 50-50 between let's go Zukos and let's go Hype. So the energy wasn't there. And the Hype never really got into their rhythm. They never really made a full comeback that wasn't hindered in some way. But finally, towards the end of the match, the Hype hit or go for their finisher. The Hype is real, which is, they each started in a different corner with the opponent in the middle of the ring on their knees, and then both collide in the center with knees on the opponent. As they sat Set up in the corner for the Hype is Real. Ronnie Zuko, who is the father, was the target. Ryan Zuko, the son, saw it coming, jumped into the ring, pushed his dad out of the way, and didn't take all of it, but took some of the brunt of the Hype is Real maneuver, but then not enough to keep him from quickly rolling one of them up, covering them for the quick pin. And just like that, the Zucos are your new MCW tag team champions. The Zucos have been in MCW for a very long time. Ronnie, obviously, way longer than his son Ryan, but they've been back for a couple of years now in several promotions here in the Mid-Atlantic, but MCW being one of the most prominent. After the match, Kaz Lee of the Hype grabs the belts from the referee. You don't know whether there's going to be a confrontation or whether there's going to be or whether it's going to be amicable. This time it was amicable. The Hype hand the belts to the Zucos. They hug, and then just like that, Amara Void, who accompanied the Zucos to the ring, I should have noticed there was something fishy with that from the beginning. But Amara Void reaches from behind Ronnie Zuko and just nails him with a low blow. At the exact same time, from the crowd, two hooded men who turn out to be Clay Jacobs and A.K. Bane, both who have been in this promotion recently, but had not been for a while, showed up together. Amara Void helps them, and they are now clearly a faction in MCW that is going to really have an impact. I got to imagine that Clay and Bane immediately jump into the fray for the tag team titles. And so I got to imagine that program is coming soon. But don't forget the Hype. They're the former champions. Do they get a rematch? Will there be a triple threat? Will the Zucos have to go through the Hype and then Jacobs and Boehner in the wings waiting? We don't know, but I guess we'll find that out soon. But I got to tell you, I don't know how it's going to shake out, but I got a feeling Clay Jacobs and AK Boehner are going to be involved in this tag team situation for a little while. They looked really badass, honestly. After that, next match, we had Gia Scott, who was originally scheduled to take on Megan Bain, who I am just dying to get into my rankings. But I do not yet cover a promotion that she's champion of or very highly ranked in. So, but she's one of the best in the business right now in the women's game. Many of you have heard of her. Excuse me. But Gia was originally supposed to face Megan Bain, but then she ends up facing Nahir Robles, who steps in. It was a good match. Nahir at the end, Nahir hits a pile driver, a sort of a modified pile driver as Gia Scott's coming in from the apron, makes the cover, but Gia's too close to the ropes, gets her foot on the ropes. As soon as the referee calls for a break, Gia's up, hits a spine buster on Nahir Robles, and puts her away for another successful title defense. Gia Scott has been an MCW champion multiple times for a very long time, over the past 5 years. She's a force in MCW. She's a mainstay in MCW, and no one in the last few years has been able to take that belt off of Gia Scott and hold on to it for any length of time. The prior match made it clear to me, at least, that Amara Void, if she's not the next contender, she is the next big contender to Gia Scott. She showed up at the breakthrough events and as a newcomer a couple of years ago, and she's just slowly getting better and better, developing her character, developing her in-ring expertise. And you could tell I hadn't seen Amara live for probably a year before this event season's beatings, but you can tell Amara has grown as a character. She has grown as a competitor, as a wrestler, and she's going to be a force here in the MCW women's division for a while as well. Next match, Miami Mike Walker versus the Mecca Brian Johnson. This is a feud that had lasted for a year. They have been going back and forth, Miami Mike, Mecca Brian Johnson, and Mike's friend and confidant, Hellfire McGuire, who has accompanied Mike to the ring for most of his matches. They have been the best of friends for a couple of years now in MCW. As this Mecha feud has weaved its way in and out of the last year, Hellfire and Mike have both taken equal amounts of shots at Mecha. Mecha's taken shots back. Early in this match, well, this match, let me say this match was a 10 lashes match. So that's how far we've gotten in this feud. We're at the point now where we're doing a 10 lashes match. And again, should have realized something was fishy before we got started, but the ring announcer announced before the match that if Brian Johnson loses, or if Mecha loses, say that one more time, if Miami Mike Walker loses, Hellfire McGuire would be taking the lashes for him. I'm still not sure how that played out or why, but it definitely made sense at the end. Early in this match, Miami Mike hits a tope, or goes to hit a tope to Mecha, but Mecha moves and Hellfire McGuire ends up in the path of the tope. Another clue that something was coming. But once Mike hit the floor, Mecha grabbed Hellfire McGuire, tosses him into steps, and just starts pummeling him. He's injured so bad that he's taken to the back by staff. The match continues in the ring. Later, Brian Johnson would try to take the turnbuckle pad off, which he so often does. But this is when Hellfire McGuire returns. He runs down to the ring, bandages wrapped around his midsection, and he comes down, he tries to get involved, but the refs sort of stop him, so he waits at ringside. Eventually, Mike loses the match. Brian Johnson wins and has to get ready to give the lashes to McGuire. And Johnson took his time with it. He enjoyed it quite a bit. You could tell he was taking his time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then Hellfire McGuire jumps in right before Mecha gives the 10th lash, and he says, you're not going to do that. 9 is enough. I'm taking this belt from you. He takes the belt, and of course, what does he do? He turns around and hits Miami Mike with it, and then hits him, and hits him, and hits him, and hits him. The heel turn, Hellfire McGuire turning on his best friend, Miami Mike Walker, joining the Mecha Brian Johnson after the past year is just confusing. We don't know what Hellfire's motivations are or how we got to this point. After the match, Brian Johnson and Hellfire McGuire gave a brief interview, but they never really explained what they were doing. So I guess, or why they did what they were doing. So we're going to have to wait and see what the deal is with Hellfire McGuire and why he would join up with Mecha. Will this advance his career? Will this make him any better? I don't know. After that, we saw former WWE superstar Kalisto, now some Samurai del Sol, taking on Miles Hawkins, which if you have not seen Miles Hawkins, he was on a recent episode of Rampage, AEW Rampage. I think it was December 20th, in a tag team match with Goldie from the Monster Factory, taking on two MCW graduates, Action Andretti and Leo Rush. So that's a great match. Hawkins is a great performer. Obviously, so is Samurai del Sol. In this match, Miles attacked before the bell, was successful in keeping Kalisto down, Samurai del Sol down, and then tries to slow things down on the mat. He's successful with that for a long time. Eventually, of course, Samurai del Sol makes his comeback. The end is very back and forth. Samurai hits a near fall after a battle on the top rope between the two of them. Miles Hawkins returns fire with a jackhammer for a near fall. Right after that, Samurai del Sol hits a satellite DDT, another near fall. As the match comes to a crescendo, Samurai del Sol climbs up top. Miles Hawkins jumps up to stop him from doing whatever he planned to do, then knocks Samurai del Sol down, lifted him into a crucifix powerbomb, then set up his finisher and took home the win against Samurai Del Sol. Miles Hawkins was very impressive against this high-flying former WWE superstar. He was impressive on Rampage. He's been impressive every time I've seen him. He's the 99 overall. You should check him out on Twitter. You should check him out on Rampage. You should see an MCW show because Miles is worth the ticket. Similarly, two guys that are definitely worth the ticket. Ken Dixon, again, another long mainstay in MCW. Many of you have heard of Ken Dixon, but most of you have heard of his opponent, Patrick Clark. The former Velveteen Dream is now back in MCW after his time away. He's now back, and slowly he's been climbing through the ranks of MCW and recently had his sights set on Ken Dixon. This was billed as a grudge match. It was a little slow, a little slower than some of Ken Dixon's matches, his grudge matches, which get violent and end up sprawling all over the arena. Maybe that match is to come. We'll see. They did brawl outside early. Patrick Clark at one point had the upper hand and did his Velveteen Dream gyrations in front of Dixon's face. But Dixon would ultimately take home the win in the end, and he would stand over Patrick Clark and gyrate, which the fans absolutely loved. The question is, like I said, after a match that didn't last a terribly long time and didn't get too terribly heated, I got to feel like there's another stage. These guys have another gear to get into. I know it. I want to see it. I will pay good money to see it. Say what you will about either of these competitors. They are fantastic in the ring and really do a great job. Next up, we had a tag team match involving another former WWE superstar, this time James Ellsworth. That's right. The very first winner of the Women's Money in the Bank ladder match was at MCW, teaming up with Jeff Gaines in a tag team they call All Natural. They've been around for a little while, taking on all sorts of teams between MCW and actually, I don't know if they've appeared together in Ellsworth's promotion, which is Adrenaline Championship Wrestling down in Glen Burnie-ish, I guess you could say. Glen Burnie, Maryland. For all you guys who may already know that Ellsworth is a local Maryland guy. He and Gilbert run a promotion down there in Pasadena, Glen Burnie-ish area. But that's a promotion that kind of goes all over the map. I see them doing shows at baseball stadiums in Florida and, bingo halls in Texas. They've got all sorts of partnerships. They're always traveling around. It's a very unique promotion, the way Ellsworth runs it. But it's definitely worth a look. I've been there as well. Those guys have some great stars that show up there too. Always worth taking a look at Adrenaline Championship Wrestling, especially since there's a chance it might come to your town, regardless of where you are. So look them up as well. But Ellsworth and Gaines are taking on Phoenix Fury and Nikita. Nikita I've not seen before. He's been around for a little while. Phoenix Fury I had seen a few times. Up and coming high flyer. You will definitely see more of Phoenix Fury as time progresses. But in this match, this was kind of a short match. Everybody was sort of champing at the bit for the main event. Everybody knew the main event was next. So these guys didn't waste too much time in this match. Early in the match, within the first minute and a half, Ellsworth calls for no chin music. His version of Shawn Michaels' sweet chin music. Hits the mat with his feet. 1, 2, 3, goes to the super kick, but Nikita catches it and then hits him with a super kick of his own that just lays James Ellsworth out. Late in the match, Phoenix would hit a Falcon Arrow on Jeff Gaines, which brought Ellsworth in, which brought Phoenix Fury in. Phoenix Fury and Ellsworth battle and then tumble outside the ring, leaving Gaines and Nikita alone again. Gaines and Nikita rise to their feet. They're exchanging punches. Then suddenly Gaines rolls up Nikita, puts his feet on the ropes for leverage. The ref doesn't see it. And Ellsworth and Gaines are your winners. But quickly afterwards, things would turn south as Ellsworth would super kick Simone Valentina, who was their valet, their manager, whatever you want to call her. She escorted them to the ring for the match. She was giving them or she was, there at ringside the entire time cheering them on. And then after the match, it looked like Ellsworth just said, "To hell with both of you. I'm done." So super kicked Simone Valentina in the face, which did not go over well with the fans. And then just walks off with like to hell with you guys. So I don't know. Are we going to see more of Ellsworth? Are we going to see Ellsworth and Gaines go at it like we saw Spencer Slade and Tim Spriggs go at it after breaking up earlier in this event? Or are we going to see, or is Ellsworth done? Is he gone? Is he going back to ACW, never to be heard from again here in MCW? I guess time will tell. Ellsworth is always an entertaining guy. It's always great to have him around. This match was no other, or was no different. But look, now we're at the main event, right? We're here. We've all been waiting. Joseph Keys, Demarcus Kane, Kaun. MCW knew how big this match was. MCW did 3 brilliant video packages for these guys. It made it feel like this was their WrestleMania main event. We saw the story of Joe Keys from way back in the day, photos of him as a trainee, photos of him very early, a baby face, not a good guy, a baby faced Joe Keys early in his career. We got to watch a lot of that unfold. We saw Demarcus Kane also with early in his career, a babyface Demarcus Kane. He's a guy I saw years ago doing security on a Ring of Honor show, and thought that guy is either a wrestler or is going to be a wrestler. And now here he is. He's already been MCW champion once. He's looking to regain the title that he lost to Kaun. Kaun being Bishop Kaun from AEW, from Ring of Honor. He has been the MCW champion for several months. He's coming into this with a very motivated Joseph Keys, who has been on the hunt to take over MCW with his hustlers at his side for at least the past year since his big heel turn. Like I said, the video packages made this very important. The hustlers, however, made it less so, as early in this match, the hustlers, Joe Keys' hustlers, jumped in and immediately tried to attack Demarcus Kane. And obviously, Demarcus is much bigger. Demarcus shook those guys off pretty quickly. Demarcus would moments later, he would throw a chair at Joe Keys, who was on the top rope looking to attack. Instead, Demarcus Kane throws the chair, hits Joe Keys in the head, knocks Joe Keys off the top turnbuckle, out of the ring, and down to through the ringside table, through the table at ringside, the scorer's table. That got the fans jacked up. Now we're ready, right? Now Keys has gone through a table. Demarcus is throwing chairs. This match is getting ready to get rolling, right? Nope, we're just getting started. After that, the hustlers go target Kaun. Joe Keys joins in, gets set up for a concerto. He's got a chair underneath Kaun's head. He's got another one in his hands. He's looking to ring Kaun's bell with those chairs. And at that moment, we get the return of Moses, Kaun's former tag team partner in Soldiers of Savagery. They were MCW tag team champions together. They have been in and out of MCW for a while, ever since Kaun made it up to AEW and Ring of Honor. We haven't seen as much of Moses, but he's been back here and there. Moses runs in. He helps Kaun. They take out the hustlers. They take out Joe Keys. And then it's Kaun, it's Moses, and it's Demarcus Kane staring at each other in the ring. You think it might be a reunion, but nope. Kane and Moses team up once again. They take out Demarcus Kane. Moments later, Chuck Lennox, Demarcus Kane's tag team partner in a tag team known as Black Wall Street, runs in, and they go, and he attacks, and he tries to distract the hustlers because the hustlers are going in again. Hustlers, Joe Keys, are going in on Demarcus again, or trying to get a hold of Demarcus again. Lennox runs in to save his former tag team partner, but what he does is he gets down there and distracts the hustlers. He's got the hustlers. He runs down the ramp. He jumps up on the corner post that is nearest the entrance ramp. The hustlers come over to him to try to deal with him. And at that moment, Gia Scott, MCW Women's Champion, right-hand person for Demarcus Kane for much of his title reign, slides into the ring at the other corner and spears Joe Keys out of his shoes. The crowd is on its feet. At that point, Gia rolls out. Lennox is out. Moses is out. The Hustlers are outside. They're all battling each other at ringside. There's a brawl going on outside while there is a triple threat going on inside. Eventually, Demarcus will throw Joe Keys out onto that pile and then hit an amazing suicide dive onto the entire group, leading to the "This is awesome" chants, which were well deserved. Everybody's on their feet. Everybody is going nuts. Keys gets back in. He's battling with Kaun. Demarcus ends up coming in right behind. He sets up the spear Joe Keys through a table, which Demarcus had brought into the ring and set up in one corner earlier in the match. Now, Joe Keys is positioned right in front of it, battling Kaun. Demarcus goes to spear Keys through the table. But then again, Keys moves. Demarcus Kane spears Kaun through the table. Realizing what he'd done, Demarcus turns, focuses on Joe Keys, throws him high into the air for a pop-up European uppercut, looking to close it out, setting him up for the finisher, which is sort of a modified flapjack suplex into a flapjack. But at that moment, before he can even lift him into the air, Dante Caballero, who is another MCW mainstay. Many of you have seen him on Ring of Honor as well over the years, both in the ring and doing commentary. Dante has not been seen in MCW for many months, maybe a year. And Dante chooses that moment to return. He slides into the ring, attacks Demarcus Kane, helps Joe Keys. Joe makes the pin. And now Joe Keys is your MCW heavyweight champion. Keys has been around MCW for a very long time, but he has never had a chance to be the MCW champion. He's a great performer, and this is well deserved. Although the fans may not be too keen on him at this time, either him or the Hustlers. Keys is definitely a guy who has worked hard. The "You deserve it" chant is something that would have been appropriate here for sure if everybody didn't hate Joe Keys because he's a heel right now. After the match, Joe Keys kept healing it up. He met Dante Caballero backstage, and they did a post-match interview where it looked for a minute Joe Keys says to the Hustlers, you guys aren't cutting it, basically. I'm going to level up. I'm the MCW World Champion now. I need guys who can level up with me, and you guys don't seem to be it. But then he tells the Hustlers to go get showered and go get ready. And so we'll see how much longer this thing lasts with the Hustlers. Are the Hustlers going to turn on Keys and Caballero? Will Keys eventually go back with the Hustlers and turn on Dante? Will this lead to a world title feud between them? These are all questions that are way down the road, but they are certainly what's coming. They're certainly what's interesting about this situation. And obviously what's next, right? Joe Keys pins Demarcus Kane at the end of this match. So the end of this triple threat match. So there's got to be a rematch here at some point between the two of them. I am a fan of Demarcus Kane. I don't see him winning the title back, but these matches will be fantastic. The real question is, once Joe Keys is done with the Demarcus Kane rematch, what will be next? I am dying to find out. I look forward to a really good title reign from Joseph Keys. And we'll see what happens from there. So that was MCW Seasons Beatings 2024. It was a fantastic show. I mean, like I said earlier, I think it really felt like this MCW's WrestleMania. They pulled out all the stops. There were WWE superstars, there were returns, there were run-ins, and it was just a really good show. I think even though the heel won the world title, I think everybody left very happy after that show. And I've been going to MCW shows for almost 7 years now. They're fantastic, and they're always, there's always great meet and greets. There's always great events. The matches are always good. It's family friendly for the most part. You can take your kids. But this was one of their better shows. So if you get a chance, if you're in the area, or even if you're not, I mean, hell, if you've read my blog, you know I travel all over the country going to indie wrestling shows. So it doesn't really matter where you are, but if you're in the area and you have not seen MCW Pro Wrestling in Joppa, Maryland, just north of Baltimore at well, it's the RJ Meyer Arena now, but it's inside the Joppa Town Market. So it's a very big building. It's a very nice venue, a comfortable venue for fans. I urge you to get out and see an MCW show. Check out the Joseph Keys era of MCW while it lasts. All right, well, that's the end of that review. It's time now for our wrestler spotlight of the week.
This week's wrestler spotlight brings Draven the Blackbird King to the Indie Wrestling Experience podcast. Draven, welcome to the Indie Wrestling Experience.
Welcome. Thank you for having me.
Tell us a little bit about, for anybody who has not had the opportunity, the opportunity to see Draven the Blackbird King live. Tell us, who is Draven the Blackbird King?
Oh, that's a great question. You allowed me to remove this real fast.
Mm-hmm.
For those out there who don't know who I am Draven the Blackbird King. Stepped onto the indie wrestling scene on June 28th, 2023. I'm brand new to the business, but it's nothing new when it comes to combat. So if you don't know about Draven the Blackbird King, all you got to do is check me out at the show. Follow me on Facebook, follow me on Instagram, and I'm pretty sure you'll find out everything about me. I don't take no mercy on my opponents. I look to put my opponents down, get the job over with quick, and I'm very serious about what I'm here to do.
Fantastic, man. So let's go all the way back. I'm big into origin stories, and I'm dying to know, how does Draven the Blackbird King, as a kid, I'm assuming, how do you find wrestling? How do you get interested in pro wrestling?
Hmm. You take me back to that journey. I got into started getting interested in the wrestling since, like you're right, since I was a kid. Something that very much attracted me. I love football, I love basketball, I love all those contact sports, but it's nothing like a contact sport of professional wrestling. When I saw what those guys were doing, the guys I looked up to watching, my dad had plenty tapes of um, Shawn Michaels, Undertaker, Hulk Hogan, Ric Flair, you name it, all the vets, all the legends, and to see what those guys were doing, you couldn't help it but go outside and try to emulate everything that you saw. Got suspended from school so many times trying to do those moves. Tore up plenty couches in my mom's house. Jumped off every time I seen the dressers. I'm jumping off it, elbowing somebody or something, and it's just something that just was flowing through my veins. And once I got the opportunity to get into it, years later, as I became an adult, I just flocked to it, and it's just been bit by that bug and that passion ever since.
Yeah. So as an adult, when you decide to train, and you decide, okay, I'm moving forward with this goal. When is that? Is that 2022, 2021?
Well, actually, a small backstory on that. A lot of people don't know. When I was on other podcasts, I may have skipped over this because of the time and everything. But truth be told, it was actually 2018. That's when the Draven officially was birthed in 2018. Um, I'm from the Jersey area. I didn't know too many schools out here or anything like that. I always thought you had to go to Florida or somewhere out the country, out the state or whatever like that. And one day I was walking down the street and I stumbled onto this training school. It was originally ECWA, East Coast Wrestling Alliance. I knocked on the door, and this is the true story. This guy came to the door. I mean, I thought it was Bray Wyatt. He looked just like him. And I was like, oh man, I was excited, and I was like all excited. And he didn't let me in the door. I tried to get in, he didn't let me in. I said, I'm interested in training. He said, come back and speak to a guy named Tony. Gave me a number. I called him. Make a long story short, I trained there for a few months. But due to like weather situations, and it was a company out of another state just trying a location in Jersey, they ended up shutting down and relocating back. That next week, I got on the phone, started scrolling for wrestling schools because I had it already in me then. I was already bitten by it. I just wanted to continue it, and that's when I stumbled onto the CZW Combat Zone Wrestling. When I stumbled onto them, I called that same day. DJ answered the phone, DJ Hyde. I talked to him. He told me to come down on Monday. It was actually a Thursday at that time, but I showed up that same day and I've just been training there. I took a little break for a little minute due to life circumstances. Family things came up and stuff like that, and I had to get things down packed before I started really focusing on that. So it took me a while to get things in order, but I never forgot about the ring, the things that I was learning, the passion that I have for it. And as soon as 2023 came in, I knew that year was the year, and I got into it, and never looked back ever since. I just went full focus on it, and I never looked back.
Nice, man. Nice. I want to go back and ask about ECWA, that training school. What did you say happened to it?
I was training there for like a few months, and we had a bad storm that winter in New Jersey, and they was saying that the school was closed, and I'll call. It lasted for like a couple weeks, and then when I finally got in contact with them again, I think they were relocating back to I think they was out of a Delaware location at that time. And I think they relocated back to that location, and I wasn't able to travel around that time. I was without a school at that point. I was only there for like 2 months, maybe 3 months tops. And like I said, after that was over, I was out of training for like a couple weeks until I stumbled on the CZW, and I found them, and I've been with them ever since.
Yeah. And how was it training in CZW? How are
Oh
those
man,
guys?
yeah. I mean, it's bar none. I mean, I haven't been to like other schools. I trained at little small other schools, like just maybe a day class just to keep myself in fit. But CZW trained you for the big time. I'm gonna just put it that way. They got the same type of training that WWE has, my opinion. They train you in tough drills. You can't slack in there. You got to keep up with the high caliber training that they bring to you, and it gets you ready for professional wrestling. I mean, I think I fell in great hands when I was with CZW. The trainers that they had down there were people who have like over 20 years experience, been up and down the roads, traveled, did a lot of things in the business. I'm gonna just name drop a few of them. Like I said, DJ Hyde was the owner and the trainer there. Gabby Gilbert, professional wrestler for 20 something years in the business, did everything in the business. I trained under Deshaun Pratt, been all over the world, trained everywhere, and did everything almost in the business. Um, a couple other people, Aaron Ash, who's the current CZW champion. Nate from the Rep tag team, great tag team, been everywhere, trained everywhere. Tarzan Duran, Tarzanian Devil came through, taught me a lot of stuff, and it was just rigorous trainers, different trainers that were just coming through. And we had 4 classes a week: Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And Thursday being the hardest class because that was DJ's class, but I pulled through for a whole year straight, and I feel like I got a lot of stuff in, like learned a lot of stuff. I feel real confident when I step in the ring because of CZW.
Right, absolutely. So when you say you took that break due to life circumstances, you were already at CZW, then you took that break and came back to them?
Yes, exactly. Yeah. After I left ECWA, I got in contact with CZW, found them online. Like I said, I called DJ that same day. He told me to come down on a Monday, but I showed up that same day. I trained with them for like a few months. It was like maybe 4 months. Then things started happening where I couldn't keep up and train at that time. And I'm the type of person, once I get into something that I really want to be good at, I just got to focus straight on that. I can't have a lot of other things going on. So at that time, it was so much going on in my life, I couldn't really focus on it like I wanted to. And I knew if I would have kept going, it wouldn't have turned out the way I wanted. So once I came back in 2023, I was focused ever since then. And as you can see, Draven's here today.
Absolutely. Yeah. And so then you go back to CZW after your break, and your first appearance in a wrestling ring is at CZW Limelight 21. Did I get that right?
Ooh, I think you did some research, buddy. Oh man, like wow, you did your thing right there. Yeah. First time I was in the ring actually to participate in a match was with was Jarrett Diaz and Zeta Steel. They had an Iron Man match, I think. No, I Quit match. That's what it was. And I was just like an extra help at that time, just helping out, a mask guy helping out. And it was just a great honor for them to select me to be in that match and participate. I had a great time. It was real short, real short stint in and out, but I had a great time in there, and I was just like, man, I gotta get in there. I gotta get in a match, and I gotta get in there and do this now, because that was just like a quick taste, a quick swipe of the cake with some icing real quick, and it was sweet, and and I just wanted to get back in there from there.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, you weren't in there long, but you did take a hell of a tornado DDT from Zeta, didn't you?
Oh yeah, I mean she's the full package. I mean she's everything that she's described as, and I took her lightly from the kick to the gut, dropped me right down to my knees, straight from the DDT, dropped right on my head. I think I landed on a Lego if I'm not mistaken.
Oh man.
But yeah, that hurt it. Real Legos really do hurt. Yeah, yeah, I took that DDT. That was tough. My head was ringing for like a couple days after that.
Yeah. So do you remember? I'm sure you do. It happened that long ago, but do you remember your first actual match?
Oh, sure. Yeah, it was at a great promotion, DCW Dynamite Championship Wrestling. That was on December the 2nd of 2023. Yeah, I was in a Rumble for Glory. It was like basically like a battle royal match. I came in at number 9. I think I lasted for like maybe like 5 minutes at the time. Yeah, DCW was another great company that just opened their doors to me, allowed me to get in there and have multiple matches after that. I went through a whole year with them, having different matches and everything. My year anniversary was just last month. Matter of fact, this month on December the 2nd. So they've been great to me, open the doors. I'd like to give a shout out to David Klein and Heather Klein, Zach Connor, for giving me the opportunity to wrestle in there and pursue my dreams and hone my skills of everything that I've been training and learning to do. I also like to thank DJ and Gabby Gilver for being a bridge and allowing me to come from CZW to enter into DCW to get reps in and train and get better in the ring.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's great. And I've been out there to DCW a couple of times. I've seen a couple of their shows. I'm familiar with their YouTube channel. I think they call that their TV. They call it Overdrive TV. Is that right?
Oh yes, yes, DCW Overdrive TV. You can catch all the matches on YouTube. Yep, great show.
How many times you been on there?
Oh man, truthfully, I'm not trying to brag. I lost count.
That's good. So there's plenty of
I've
places
been on
people
there
can
for
find
like
you
a
on that YouTube show.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I've been on there a lot. I mean, you can just type in DCW Overdrive TV on YouTube and type in Draven matches. I come up in a lot of matches. Like I said, I just ran through a whole complete season with them, and I was honored to do that. That was my first time running through a whole promotion, just going through every I want to call it pay-per-view, every live show that they have, and it was a great honor. I appreciated them for having me. I love wrestling at DCW.
Wow, that's great. I was gonna ask you about your matches. The one that stood out to me, or at least a feud, I guess, that stood out to me when I was doing my research, was this extremely ultra violent feud you've had with JC Extreme. You want to talk about that?
Sure, why not? Yeah, that was a match that was I think right now that was probably one of my biggest historic matches. That's a match that I'm gonna take with me for my whole career in wrestling. I'll never forget that one. It was one of those happened very fast, just phone rang, and I remember talking to the owner of X Brand Wrestling, and another friend of mine. His name is Bill Hansen. He bridged that gap also for me to talk to him, and they asked me, do I want to do a death match wrestling or a hardcore match wrestling, and I was like, yeah, I wanted to do that. Being in CZW, got a rich history of death match matches, and a rich history of being a death match company. I wanted to participate in a death match there also. So when X Brand came around, I got the call. JC Extreme didn't have an opponent at that time, and they gave me a call and they was like, "Would you like to come out?" I didn't even know I was wrestling him. It was just like, "Oh, working with him." They was like, "Do you want to come out to a show and work with us?" And I was like, "Yeah, I told you before I'd like to come out, so it's the time. I'm ready." And quick story, real quick. They didn't tell me it was going to be a death match. They just told me it was hardcore. And I was like, yeah, I'm with that. Maybe some chairs or something like that. So once I locked in and signed in, all the text messages start coming back like, what's going to be your favorite weapon? Shout out to Joe Haley. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing your name wrong. He just kept text messaging me once I was trying to get it down packed in my head, like, what type of weapons do you want to have? You know, this is a death match, right? And I'm like, oh wow, like, all right, you know, so I'm already locked in at that time, and I'm just trying to. You can't prepare for that, you know. It's like preparing for a normal professional wrestling match. You know, you can just start thinking of your training and things that you've been trained and taught to do, and you know you can come up with a move set in your mind and with things that you want to strike and put on your opponent. But like training for a death match, it's impossible like to like strategize for that. It's like somebody saying you about to get in a car and go down the street and crash. Like you can't really prepare for that. You just got to jump in it. So it was tough for me to get in that mental. I couldn't find that mindset to get myself amped up. Truthfully, they called me on a Tuesday. The match was on a Friday. I didn't sleep from that Wednesday, that Thursday to that Friday. I didn't get no sleep for 3 days. That's straight up facts, the straight truth, because I didn't know how to prepare for that, and I was trying to find something to give me an edge to get angry, and I couldn't. And to be honest with you, what got me to that point was um, I did a podcast before and at another podcast show, my first one actually, Three Wheels of Wrestling podcast, and they asked me on there, will I want to do a death match? And I was like, yeah. So that was my opportunity to say, you know, I can show people what I can do if I get the opportunity to do a death match. And once I got into that, you know, I like to thank JC Extreme for working with me. He's a great veteran in deathmatch wrestling. You know, we went in there and beat the shit out of each other. You know, it was pretty extreme. You know, I was bleeding. I was trying to get out of the way from being hit with a light tube. That did not work. You know, not at all. You can't avoid light tubes. You know, and I didn't even know it was a light tube mayhem match until the announcer was announcing us in the match. And like there's a lot of things I didn't know. I just signed up for it. I was excited to go, and I'm standing in the ring, and she's announcing me and announcing JC Extreme. And next thing you know, she says, "This is a light tube mayhem match." I'm like, okay, this gets better and better. And you know, once the bell rung, it was just on from there. And you know, I look back at that match. I watch it all the time, and it was just to me, it was just I'm not trying to brag or nothing, but it was just like a classic. You know, I really liked that match. Everything in it. Like I said, I can't thank JC Extreme enough because I couldn't have done that by myself. He was a great dance partner, and we, like I said, we beat the hell out of each other. And you know, I met him a couple times down at POR Hardcore Wrestling, but I never got a chance to work with him. So that was my first time working with him, and we went in there and had a great match. You know, if I found a great partner of just great chemistry, just working with us. All that was on the fly, and just you know, we just went in there, and as soon as the bell rang, we just went in there and did it, and it was a great match. When it was over, though, you know, it was a whole nother story. Bodies beat up, bodies sore, and man, I didn't get no sleep that night. I didn't know how to sleep. My nerves was just shaking. Adrenaline was just spiking. I didn't come down until that Sunday when I finally got a chance to rest. And this is God's honest truth, right? I'm about to say right here. Yesterday, I just took a piece of glass. I had to be a light tube out of my back. I lied to you not. God is my witness. And that match was in October, and then we're in December. Like I was just kept feeling something in my back. Like, what is sticking me back there? I don't know. And I reached back there and I pulled out a piece of glass. Like it was a little light tube glass. And I was like, wow, this was in me for like 2 months. That's crazy. So yeah, death is pretty extreme. Whenever they give me a call again, I'll be ready for it. I would like to participate in more, but X-Brand Wrestling is another home, like another family to me. I love everybody there. Shout out to Justin and everybody that called me out and let me participate there and work there, and I had a great experience.
Yeah. Now I kind of want to compare that experience. First of all, let me say this. You mentioned that match with JC Extreme and the light tubes. If anybody is interested in finding out what kind of damage these two did to each other, check out Draven's Instagram at TBC Drave, TBCDRAVE. I got that right, right?
Yes.
There are some photos on there. There's a photo on there of light tubes exploding on your head. There's a photo on there of blood. I mean, there's some great photos, but it was a very
Yeah.
violent match.
Yeah. Yeah. Shout out to the photographer at that time, Brian Ski Weaker. Sorry if I'm pronouncing the name wrong, but yeah, he's a great. He caught a lot of classic shots right there when he sent me the file of photos, and he always come back right on time. He's a great photographer. Oh man, I was just like, wow, some great shots, like legendary shots, just classics. I was just like, yeah, the ones you said with the light tube busting my head. He caught that in live action. There was another one where JC just took a light tube straight across my back, and you can just see it exploding in live motion right there. That was just like, that was just great. Like the photos from that match only do part of the justice if you watch it live. You can catch it on IWTV too.
Okay. All right. I was going to ask where I was going to ask if anybody could, if there was anywhere we could see that match. So that whole event is under X brand on IWTV.
Yep. You can watch it. You can stream it right on there. Yep, you can watch it right on there.
Right. Oh, and so what I was saying a second ago was that I wanted to compare these two. We've got this ultra violent match for X brand, but then on the other hand, you also perform for like Lucha Libre Promotions, right?
Yes. Lucha Libre Promotions. I performed down there. I think like 3 times I went down there. That was another bridge connection from Tarzan Duran, the Tarzanian Devil. I trained with him a couple times at CZW, and one night after training, he said, would I like to join him down at Lucha Libre Promotions? Shout out to Javier for having me come out to the promotion and let me perform in the ring. First time I went down there, had 2 matches. It was excellent. It was great. I loved it working down there. I'm a huge fan of the lucha style. I love that whole style. It just fits me perfect, and I'm always interested in learning more with that style. Second time I went down there, I had a great time, and I just went down there a few months ago, and they had a show in Washington. That was a great man. That was a great time too down there. So I love working for Lucha Libre Promotions. Very fast promotion down there. Great talent in lucha. They got connections all throughout Mexico, and for me, it was just like I just fell in the right hands. Like I said, I wanted to learn the lucha style, and learning a little bit with Tarzan. I guess that was his way of just seeing what I learned and tested out in there. And those guys, just experts, just great in the ring, like And I had a great time down there. Just looking forward to going back down there again.
Did I see, am I doing my research? I think I scanned by it, but were you under a mask down there?
Oh yeah. It was only right to keep it in tradition. The first time I went down there, I had a mask on, but I still had my Blackbird mask with me over that, and the name that came out of that was Dre Lucha. So whenever I'm down in Lucha Libre Promotions or whenever I'm doing Lucha with the mask on, I put the Blackbird to the side and there's Dre Lucha at that time. So yeah, I had to wear a mask down there in honor of the luchador heritage, the rich history of wearing a mask down there. I just wanted to take that serious. And a guy by the name of Sergeant Controversy in my last match, I was wrestling with him. He had the nerve to try to take my mask off and deface me in that match. That's on Instagram too. You can watch that in one of my clips on Instagram. He tried to deface me in that match, but luckily I had 2 matches. Yeah, I put two
Ah,
matches in. Yeah, something told me just bring an extra one just in case. They was taking it easy on me for the first 2 matches. I had a feeling they was gonna pull something on me by the third, and I listened to my instinct, and I had 2 matches. So you go. Sometimes you might have to double up.
yeah. No, that was a good call on your part, man. Good
Yeah,
call on your
good
part.
call. Yeah, great,
Yeah.
great, good call. Yeah,
So,
two matches.
look, so you're doing regular, I'll call them catch as catch can matches. You're doing extreme matches, death matches, light tubes. You're doing lucha. Are you focusing or working your way towards any one of those styles being your favorite, or are you still doing everything you can to see what's out there?
A little bit of both. If I can make all those styles my favorite, that's what I'm really aiming for. I want to be versatile in everything. So, once the get to the big time, I look at it when I watch like products like WWE. They're basically doing all those styles in there. If you're in a Hell in a Cell, you're basically in a hardcore combat match. You're going to be bleeding, elimination chamber. You're going to put some blood on the line. Hard what's that other one they got? Extreme Rules, anything like that. So you're going to be doing some luchador stuff, stuff like that. So if I got cards under my sleeve that I can pull out to match any opponent. You know, I might end up getting in the ring with a Rey Mysterio. I might end up getting in the ring with a Dragon Lee, you know what I'm saying, or somebody like that of that nature, or Ray Phoenix, or a Penta Black or something like that. So I just want to have that experience under my belt, so I won't just be sticking to one style of just wrestling, I guess you want to call it. But I always want to have different styles under me. So whether if it's death match, whether if it's lucha, whether if it's just brawling, technical wrestling, or just professional mat wrestling itself. I want to be versatile in all of them, and also I'm looking to experience all of it. And the best way to do it is dabble in everything. You know, I want to be was for my time in wrestling, and I don't know how long it is. I hope it's a long career or everything, but you never know how things be. So I just always wanted to say, when I look back at it, I had the courage and um, the heart to try everything, whatever's placed before me. If it's something that I think I can do, I'm going to do it.
Yeah, no, that's great. And I probably should have discussed this earlier when we were talking about your history and growing up, but I am curious to find out this Draven character. Can you talk a little bit about developing it from the idea to where you are now?
Oh yeah, it was a lot of growth and progress, and it's still growing in progress. Like I said, back in 2018 when I was first started wrestling, training rather, I like to think ahead. I was just like, I got a feeling they're gonna come at me with what's your character? Like, what do you do? Or who are you? So like my second week of training, I started focusing on the character. I ran through a couple things that didn't fit me at that time, but then I had a mask on. You can look. I'll give you a link where you can find that after I discuss this. I found the workout breathing mask. Like altitude training or something like that.
Mm.
I found one of those masks and I put that on. I had like a little covering over my head and some regular sunglasses, and I'm trying to come up with a character from that alone. And it didn't work out a while or for a little while and everything, but the name was really what started it off. It was between Legion or Draven. I flipped the coin, it landed on tails, so it was Draven as it is, and I started building around that. Just started building from there. I kept it. I never almost even when I stopped wrestling, I was still working on a character. When I was took my little stint away from wrestling for a while, I was still working on the character, trying to find things that I can add to it. I'm a huge fan of The Crow, the movie, Brandon Lee. I'm a huge fan of Sting and everything like that. So I figured, from the transition of where Draven came from with the breathing mask on, the more Darth Vader type style slash General Zod, Superman or whatever. It's like a clash between Darth Vader and General Zod. I kind of moved away from that. And I saw the Crow movie. The movie came back on, and I was watching that, and I was like, you know what? I think I can really run with that. But I didn't want to do. I didn't want to step in the lane of like Sting or everything. Shout out to Sting for everything that he did with the character. It was great. It was legendary. It was already done. So I told myself I want to represent more of the blackbird itself. Even in the movie The Crow, the blackbird is the one that gives out the power. The blackbird is the one that, without the bird, there is no power. So I figured that was something new. Nobody never attempted to do before, and that's what I took on that moniker of the Blackbird. That's where Draven the Blackbird started connecting together, and I started putting that together. I always felt like I was a king, always looked at myself highly, so I added that into it, and here you go today with Draven the Blackbird King, and I call myself Draven the Blackbird with the Sting thing, and a lot of people ask me like, well, being as though you're doing like the crow thing, why don't you paint your face white? And I was just like, well, I don't think that really look too cool. I'm a black guy, so I don't
I
think
didn't even
that'll
think
be
about
too
that, but
cool.
yeah.
Yeah, so so when I say I'm Draven the Blackbird, it kind of makes sense when you see me, and I'm the only one, like I said, they never had a black crow, saying a black guy being the crow, so I'm one of a kind, first one to step in the lane, so I get to dabble in the character the way I want to. It kind of sets it apart to make it my own identity and how I look at it, and even like just joining the show right here, I thought about it like should I be myself? But now you asked for Draven to be on the show. So I thought like if this is back in the day, and somebody asked Macho Man to be on the show, he's going to come as Macho Man. You ask Ric Flair to be on the show, he's going to come as Flair. You ask Razor Ramon to be on the show, he's going to come as Razor Ramon. So it's only right that I come as Draven the Blackbird King.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I love it. I think it's great. I love the presentation, man. I love your look. Um, do you have talk about moves in the ring? What is Draven? How does Draven the Blackbird? You got any signature moves, finishing moves? How do you put away your opponents?
Oh man, it's plenty of ways. All related around the Blackbird. Got the most deadliest move in all the sports entertainment. That's the Raven Splash. It's just a variation of the Frog Splash. It's just my own little touch on it. Once I'm in the air real high, I put my own variation on it. I come down with that. It's just 1, 2, 3, lights out. I got another move I call the Crow Cutter. It's basically like I go into a suplex and then I turn into a cutter real quick. It's lights out with that. I got another move that I call the crowbar. It's basically a Fujabi arm bar into I call it a crowbar. Once I lock that in, it's basically tapped out. I got another move that I do called it's basically a super kick, but I call it the crow's foot. Once I hit people with that, I'm G up in the corner, get the crowd jumping with the crow's foot with the calls, call. Once I hit them with that, boom, that's a wrap. And I got another move that I do called the Raven Zero. It's a variation like the Falcon Zero, but Raven Zero. So a lot of moves that I do revolve around Ravens and Crows, and I'll put the name with it and everything like that. And like I said, I think that's something different and unique. So when the announcers calling it out in the ring, and sometimes they get so loud that I can hear them, like Crow Cutter or Raven Splash, and I'm like, oh, And I got the other one too. I almost forgot about that. It's a signature that I do. It's called the L Crow. Basically, it's like a springboard elbow off the rope, but the L Crow instead of elbow.
Nice, nice.
Yeah.
Uh, so we were talking. So before you and I talked on this interview, you reached out to me and you were telling me you got a big match coming up for DCW. It's at Fast Fate, right?
Yeah. That's in matter of fact, not too long from now, maybe like a week or so from now. That'll be on January 11th. At DCW. It's going to be a little. The more details I'm finding out, it's getting crazy. It's going to be a elimination tag match, a 4-on-4. It's actually me and my partner, Hector El Toro, together collectively. We known as Eye of the Raven. Unfortunately, we got a tag with the current DCW tag team champions. That's Chris White, 101 Chris White, and his partner CNC Cornelius Nigel Carter. These are two cocky guys. They interfered in our last match, and they wasn't even supposed to be in that. We was going for the DCW tag titles, and they just somehow end up being allowed to get in that match, and they end up coming out the victory. So we got a tag with them. I'm not too really cool with those guys, so I think it's going to be a lot of tension in that match. I'm gonna try to stay focused as much as I can to focus on winning the match, but it looks like a real combustible element is going to just explode in that match.
Yeah, I'm curious why DCW would put two teams that hate each other so much next to each other in a match. Do you got any idea?
I mean, it's the same thing on the other side with the other guys. You got a great tag team, Control Chaos. I think they got some mystery partners that they don't even know who their partners is, and that's just how DCW is. You never know what to expect from that company. You never know how things is going to be. No match is the same, and it creates an element of excitement. Truthfully, I'm excited for the match. As I get to compete against Control Chaos, and I wanted to compete against them. They're a great tag team. Me and my partner Hector Otoro, we've been rolling together for like close to a year now, so we got great chemistry. We're ready for that match. And if things get out of hand, we got the tag team champions right there. I can just drop them, after the match, or what I'm saying. Hope not before that or during the match if chemistry get out of hand. But so like I said, I'm looking forward to that match because you never know what to expect, and that's just what I like in a wrestling match. I don't like things where it's predictable. I like to keep everybody guessing. So that match kind of fit my style.
Right. So after y'all win this match, is the focus going after those tag titles again?
Oh yeah, most definitely. We're fortunate to have a few opportunities, so maybe this will align us back in to get back in the opportunity if we come out victorious in that match. I don't want to say that we're gonna beat. I don't even know who the mystery partners is for Control Chaos. And they're great Control Chaos. I'm looking forward to getting in the ring, and I've been watching them. the things and the work that they've been doing. They got great chemistry together. These guys are just great, and I'm looking forward to taking my skills up with them. So if we come out victorious in that match, I'm pretty sure we'll be right back in the tag team pictures, and I'm
Well,
looking forward to that.
sounds good, man. So where can people, anybody who's interested in seeing that match, being at Fast Fate, where should they go? Where can they look?
Oh well, you can if you were looking for that match, you can go to DCW No Limit. I think that's the homepage, DCW No Limit One, or you can type in DCW.com and you can get your tickets from there. We're going to be in Felton, Delaware on January the 11th. No, is that Marydale? Yeah, it's in Felton, Delaware. I think it's going to be at Felton. No, I'm sorry, Marydale Fire Hall. There you go. It's going to be at the Firehouse in Marydale. You can get your tickets, like I said, online. It's going to be great. You can contact me on Instagram or on Facebook if you're having trouble finding tickets for whatever reason. I can point you in the right direction. You want to get tickets to this show because we got a lot of great matches on this card. Not only just that elimination match, we got another elimination match. We got the DCW No Limits title on the line. It's just going to be a great show. A great show going out. We got great matches going on that whole match. Leroy Robinson's going to be on the card. He's going to be competing against Cass Lee. We got Mike Thunder going against a guy that's going to be real good. It's a great match for that. Just a whole lot going on in that match. I think the DCW No Limits title is going to be competed with Murmur from Silent Storm, the tag team, great tag team also. But he's taking this title, the singles run to try to go after the DCW No Limits title, and that's another title match. That's another title that I got my eyes on too, being in DCW. So yeah, you want to get tickets to that show? Still got time. Show starts at 6. Doors open at 6. Show starts at 7. You want to get down to that show? It's going to be the place to be. And like I said, the elimination match. So I'm going to be in the Eye of the Raven, tagging up with Chris White, CNC, going against Control Chaos and Mystery Partners. Going to be a lot of combustible elements in that match, a lot of excitement, and match that people's going to be talking about when it's over.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm gonna tell you right now, I am looking to get out there and see that match live. I haven't been to a DCW show in a while, and I think I might be able
Great.
to get out there for that. So I'm looking to try to see that one live.
I'll be looking for you, man. Just give me a loud call in the crowd. I'll see you from there.
I will. I will.
Yeah, yeah.
So you mentioned a minute ago your social, but tell people where can they find Draven online?
Oh, you can find me again, like we mentioned earlier. You can find me on Facebook at Draven TBC at Facebook.com. I'm also on Instagram at TBC Drave, Drave. That's right now my only social medias that I have. I got a X account. I'm on there also, and that's just Draven TBC also on X. You can find me on there. I post a lot of my matches coming up, things that I'm in, promos that I cut. Anywhere that I'm out of town, I'm in another wrestling promotion. I'm always posting things on there. I'm heavy with the media work. You can also find stuff that I got going on. If you want to get any merchandise or anything like that, you can log on to my webpage that I got. There's a lot of great merchandise on there. I got a lot. I'm always refreshing it. Got new stuff on there. So you can check me out on that. And that's what's my webpage? I just put it up there. I got so many pages. I got to figure out. What's that? Yeah, the Blackbird Apparel at blackbirdapparel.bigcartel.com. There's a lot of merchandise on there. I'm always throwing some discounts in there, maybe a little few passwords, call or Blackbird, get a little few discounts off. If you want to get t-shirts, I got sneakers, t-shirts. I even got a Draven Blackbird doggy bowl. I think that's probably one of my favorite products I got. So if you dog lovers out there, what I'm saying, if you want to make sure your dog eating royal style, what I'm saying, give him that royal doggy bowl, and he'll always be there looking nice for you for that one. I'm serious. Check it
I
out.
love it. I love it. Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm gonna check it out,
So,
man. I was looking on there, all the crazy stuff you got. I mean, you got mini skirts for women. You got all sorts of crazy stuff on there, man. It's
oh yeah,
it's a
you gotta have the
pretty good
stuff.
store.
Yeah, yeah, you gotta have the stuff for the ladies, man. You know, the ladies like to look nice. I like to keep all my Ravenettes and my Croettes looking real beautiful. You know what I'm saying? Got sneakers for them, got fitness workout. The New Year's coming in, so you know everybody New Year's agenda. They want to hit the gym and work out. Why not look nice in Draven's fashion and apparel, you know, do it in style.
There you go, man. There you go. Well, listen, on
Yeah.
January 11th at Fast Fate DCW, Draven will be there. His Ravenettes will be in full force. And Indie Wrestling Experience is trying to make an appearance. We hope to see you there. But either way, Draven, good luck in the match. Good luck in the future. I hope to have you back sometime soon.
Oh yeah, man. Yeah, anytime, you know what I'm saying? Reach out to me. I'm always available. I would love to be on the show. I thank you for having me come on the show. Also, there's another show coming up too on February 22nd. That's the CZW 26th anniversary show. I want to make sure people get out to that one too. It's going to be in Atlantic City at the ACX1 studio building. It's a great show. We just came off our last show there. It was Cage of Death 22. Great show. So it's going to be a lot of aftermath following from after that. You know, things that happened on that show going to continue on our 26th anniversary show. And like I said, that's going to be on February 22nd. You can catch that. You can get tickets at czwwrestling.com. If you're having trouble getting tickets, which you shouldn't have to because you can get tickets always on there. You can reach me on my Instagram or my Facebook at DravenTBC at Facebook.com or TBCDrave at Instagram.com, and I can point you in the right directions to get tickets for that 26th anniversary. That's 26 years of CZW, man. That's a long time, man.
Incredible, isn't
Great
it?
company too, so that's going to be a great show. I'm not sure if I'll be on that card yet. They're still putting everything together, but hopefully I should be on that card too, and I
Yeah.
look
Now,
forward to that.
if they announce an opponent, let us know. We'll try to promote it
Oh
for you.
yeah, yeah, most definitely. I'll fill you in for that, and you know I appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, listen, Draven, it was good talking to you. I hope to talk to you again soon. Good luck, my friend.
All right, thank you very much, brother. I appreciate you.
Thank,
Caw-caw!
thank. Well, that'll do it for our show today. I want to thank Draven for coming on the show and talking about his journey through wrestling, as well as giving us all the information on his huge upcoming 4-on-4 elimination match at DCW Fast Fate on January 11th, 2025. Next week, we have Rich Buckholz back with us, continuing our conversation. This time, we'll be talking about all things WWE ID, and Rich will tell a very interesting story about a blind fan getting hit during one of his shows. So definitely be here for that. Until then, see you next time.